Assalamualaikum and good day. Today's chapters we will learn about motivation within the context of industrial or organizational psychology. These chapters introduce a variety of theories of motivation. Rather than viewing these as isolated models, consider the ways in which they are similar. The learning objective of these chapters: students should be able to know the types of people who tend to be more motivated than others, and then learn how to motivate people through goal setting, understand the importance of providing feedback, be able to use operant conditioning principles to motivate employees, understand the importance of treating employees fairly, and know the types of individual and organizational incentive that best motivate employees. What is motivation? Motivation is a force that serves three functions. First, it energizes or causes people to act. Second one, it directs behavior towards the attainment of specific goals. And the last one, it sustains the effort expended in reaching those goals. The many theories of work motivation can also be classified as need theories, behavior-based theories, job design theories, and cognitive theories. Employees will be motivated if they have a personality that inclines them to be motivated. Second one, their expectations have been met. The job and organization are consistent with their values. The employees have been given achievable goals. The employees receive feedback and on their goal attainment. The organization rewards them for achieving their goals. The employee perceive they are being treated fairly, and their co-workers demonstrate a high level of motivation. Several motivation theories assert that people have certain needs that are important in determining motivation. Needs involve specific physiological or psychological deficiencies that the organism is driven to satisfy. The need for food and the drive of hunger is a physiological need and drive inherent in all living organisms. The need for human contact is a psychological need. So, two basic need theories are proposed by Abraham Maslow and Clayton Alderfer. So, did both of these theories maintain that several different types or categories of needs play a role in human motivation. So basically, these both motivation theories, need theories propose that needs are arranged in a hierarchy from the lowest, most basic needs to higher order needs, such as the need for esteem or self-actualization. According to Maslow, lower order needs is a physiological needs, safety needs, and social needs. So this Maslow call it as deficiency needs. So it must be satisfied in a step-by-step fashion before an individual can move on to higher order needs, which is esteem and self-actualization needs. So Maslow referred to as growth needs. So there are deficiency needs, which is include from the physiological needs, safety needs, and social needs. So this is the lower order needs. And the second one is growth needs, which is include the esteem and self-actualization needs. So this is higher order needs. Because higher order needs are unlikely to be satisfied in the typical workers, there is also a constant upward striving that explains why, for example, even successful high-level executives continue to exhibit considerable motivation. In other words, they are no longer motivated by money to provide for subsistence needs, but by a need for esteem, recognition, or self-growth. Building in part on Maslow's theory is Clayton Alderfer's ERG theory, which collapses Maslow's 5 categories of need into 3. The first one is existence needs, which are similar to Maslow's basic physiological and safety needs. Second one is relatedness needs, which stem from social interaction and are analogous to the social needs in Maslow's hierarchy. And the last one is growth needs, which are the highest order needs, dealing with needs to develop fully and realize one's potential. And Alderfer made predictions similar to Maslow, that as each level of need becomes satisfied, the next higher level becomes a strong motivator. A more comprehensive need theory of motivation, and one that deals specifically with work motivation, is David McClelland Achievement Motivation Theory. This theory states that 3 needs are central to work motivation. The first one is the needs for achievement, need for power, and the last one is need for affiliation. These needs can be measured with a projective test known as the thematic apperception test. Unlike Maslow's and Alderfer's need theories, McClelland's theory has been used extensively in work setting to encourage worker motivation. The 3 key motives or need in McClelland theory. The first one is need for achievement. So this is the compelling drive to succeed and to get the job done. Individuals with a very high need for achievement are those who love the challenge of work. They are motivated by a desire to get ahead in the job, to solve problems, and to be outstanding work performers. So need for achievement is also associated with being task-oriented, preferring situation offering moderate level of risk or difficulty, and desiring feedback about goal attainment. The second one is need for power. So this is the need to direct and control the activities of others and to be influential. Individuals with a high need for power are status-oriented and are more motivated by the chance to gain influence and prestige than to solve particular problems personally or reach performance goals. So McClelland talks about 2 sides to the need for power. One is personal power that is used toward personal ends, and the other one is institutional power, or power that is oriented towards organizational objective. Okay, and the last one, the third one is need for affiliation. So it desire to be liked and accepted by others. Individuals motivated by affiliation needs strive for friends' sake. They are greatly concerned with interpersonal relationship on the job and prefer working with others on a task. So they are motivated by cooperative rather than competitive work situation. The next two motivation theories have been categorized as behavior-based theories because each theory focuses on behavioral outcomes as critical to affecting work motivation. So these two theories are reinforcement theory and goal setting theory. Reinforcement theory stresses the role that reinforces and punishments play in motivation. So reinforcement theory is the theory that behavior is motivated by its consequences. So there are two reinforcers. The first one is positive reinforcers. So this is desirable event that strengthen the tendency to respond, and negative reinforcers is event that strengthen a behavior through the avoidance of an existing negative state. Reinforcement theory is evident in the various schedules used to reward workers. The theory is applied to increase motivation through organizational behavior modification programs. And the second one is goal setting theory. So the goal setting theory emphasizes setting challenging goals for workers and getting workers committed to those goals as the key to motivation. The need theories emphasize the role that individual differences in certain types of needs play in determining work motivation. The behavior-based theories focus on behavioral outcomes as the key to motivation. By contrast, two job design theories, Herzberg's two-factor theory and the job characteristic model, stress the structure and design of jobs as key factors in motivating workers. They argue that if jobs are well designed, containing all the elements that workers require from their jobs to satisfy physical and psychological needs, employees will be motivated. Influenced greatly by the human relations school of thought, Friedrich Herzberg developed a theory of motivation that highlighted the role of job satisfaction in determining worker motivation. So Herzberg motivational theory proposed that two factors, which is the motivators and hygienes, are important in determining worker satisfaction and motivation. Certain factors when present seem to cause the job satisfaction. Herzberg labeled it as motivators, and other factors when absent tended to cause of job dissatisfaction, so he called them as hygienes. Motivators are factors related to job content. This is comparison between the three needs theories. So based on the Herzberg two factors theory, the self-actualization and self-esteem categorized as motivators. Meanwhile, based on the Alderfer's ERG theory, the self-actualization and self-esteem categorized as growth. So for the hygiene factors here, based on the Herzberg two factors theory, is including relatedness and existence in Adler's ERG theory, and from the Maslow is included as social, safety, and physiological factors. So this is the comparison, the differences between the comparison of need theories. So from the first one, Maslow categorized the factors into 5 categorized, which is the self-actualization, self-esteem, social safety, and physiologicals. And based on the Adler ERG theory, from the Maslow 5 categorized, so it collapsed to the 3 categories only, which is the growth, the relatedness, and existence. And Herzberg two-factor theory also has comprised these factors into 2 factors only, which is the motivators and hygiene factors. The job characteristic model emphasizes the role of certain aspect or characteristic of jobs in influencing work motivation. So according to Heckman and Oldham in 1976, employees must experience 3 important psychological states to be motivated. So workers must perceive their work as meaningful, associate a sense of responsibility with the job, and have some knowledge of the result of their efforts. So the 5 core job characteristics contribute to a worker's experience of the 3 psychological states are the skill variety, task identity, and task significance that all affect workers' experience of meaningfulness of their work. And then the autonomy that influences the worker's experience of responsibility for work outcomes, and also the feedback which provides workers with the information about the results of their work activities. This is the job characteristic models of work motivation. So for the core job dimension, there are 5 core job characteristics that contribute to a worker's experience. The first one is skill variety. So skill variety is the degree to which a job requires the workers to use a variety of abilities and skills to perform work-related tasks. So a job that demands a range of skill is likely to be perceived as challenging and meaningful. Second one is task identity. So this is the degree to which a job requires the completion of entire job or function. So the worker needs to see the observable outcome or product of work efforts. So the third one is task significance. So task significance is the degree to which a job has a substantial impact on other people within the organization, such as co-workers or person outside of the organization, such as consumer. The fourth one is autonomy. So this is the degree to which the job gives the worker freedom and independence to choose how to schedule and carry out the necessary tasks. And the fifth one is feedback. So the degree to which the job allows the worker to receive the direct and clear information about the effectiveness of performance. So to summarize this basic job characteristic model, the 5 core job characteristics will influence the 3 critical psychological stage, which is the meaningfulness, experience responsibility for outcome of work, such as meaningful responsibility and knowledge of result. So that in turn lead to motivation and certain work outcomes, such as the motivation to work, improve performance, and grow on the job. So actually, the job characteristic model is more complex, but according to Heckman and Oldham, certain moderators can affect the success of the model in predicting worker motivation. So one such moderator is grow need strength, or individual need and desire for personal growth and development on the job. So in other words, some workers desire jobs that are challenging, responsible, and demanding, whereas others don't. So according to the theory, improving the dimension of the 5 core job characteristics should have motivating effect only on those workers who are high in growth need strength. So workers low in this moderator are not likely to be motivated by jobs that offer enrich opportunities for responsibility, autonomy, and accountability. The job characteristic models that involve moderators, including growth need strength. So the notion that certain workers feel a need to grow in their job. Workers must be high in growth need strength if programs such as job enrichment are going to produce motivation. So job enrichment involves redesigning jobs to give workers greater responsibility in the planning, execution, and evaluation of their work. Cognitive theories of motivation emphasize the role that cognition plays in determining worker motivation. So this category, labeled cognitive theories of motivation, present two theories that view workers as rational beings who cognitively assess personal costs and benefits before taking action. So these two theories are equity theory and VIE theory. Equity theory states that workers are motivated to keep their work inputs in proportion to their outcomes. So according to this theory, workers are motivated to reduce perceived inequities. So the perception of equity or inequity is determined by comparing the workers' input-outcome ratio to a similar comparison of others. Research has examined the role of individual differences as moderators of equity. The three types of individuals are benevolents. So these individuals are givers. They are altruistic and are relatively content with receiving lower outcomes for their inputs. Entitled. These individuals are takers. They are concerned with receiving high outcomes regardless of their level of inputs. And the last one is equity sensitive. These individuals adhere to notions of equity, so they become distressed when feeling underpayment in equity and guilt when over-rewarded. According to equity theory, lack of motivation is caused by two types of perceived inequity. So, underpayment and equity result when workers feel they are receiving fewer outcomes from the job in ratio to input. So, equity theory predicts that you will experience underpayment and equity and will be motivated to try to balance this situation by doing one of the following. The first one is the increasing outcomes. So you could confront your boss and ask for a raise or find some other way to get greater outcomes from your job. So, and decreasing the input, you might decide that you need to limit your work production or quality of work with your poor pay. Changing the comparison others. So if you find out that the new employee is actually the boss daughter, she's clearly not a similar comparison other. And leaving the situation, you might decide that the situation is so inequitable that you are no longer motivated to work there. Okay, so the second one is referred to as overpayment inequity. So this is also create an imbalance. So in this case, equity theory predicts that you might try doing one of the following here. First one, increasing the input. So you might work harder to try to even up the input outcome ratio. Decreasing the outcomes. So you might ask for a cut in pay. And then changing comparison others. An overpaid worker might change comparison others to person of higher work status and ability. One of the most popular motivation theories is expectancy theory. So this is also known as VIE theory. So it states that motivation is dependent on expectation concerning effort, performance, and outcome relationship. So there are three of the theory's core components. So there are valence. Valence is the desirability of an outcome to an individual. So this is positive of outcome. Second one is instrumentality. So instrumentality is the perceived relationship between the performance of a particular behavior and the likelihood of receiving a particular outcome. Okay, so believes in one's ability to perform the necessary behavior. And the third one is expectancy. So this is the perceived relationship between the individual's effort and performance of a behavior. So this is believed that the behavior will actually lead to the outcome. So the expectancy theory states that the motivation to perform a particular behavior depends on a number of factors. The first one is valence, whether the outcome of the behavior is desirable. Second one is expectancy, whether the individual has the ability, skill, or energy to get the job done. And the third one is instrumentality, whether the performance of the behavior will indeed lead to the expected outcome. This is summary of theories of motivation. So the early needs theories of motivation, thus of Maslow and Aldever, are primarily a descriptive model that explain that people's motivation is rooted in different level of needs. So in reinforcement theory, on the other hand, focuses on the role of the environment in driving out a person's motivation. And need theories can be viewed as the push from within, whereas reinforcement represent the pull from without. So yet more complex version of need theories like McClelland's go beyond the simple categorization of needs. In McClelland's model, the need for achievement power, and affiliation interact with how a worker views the job and the work environment. For example, someone with a high need for achievement will be concerned with how the job can meet her achievement-related goals. So someone with high power needs will seek out ways to direct others' activities. In other words, there is an interaction between needs from within the individual and what the work environment external to the person has to offer. Of course, the fact that workers evaluate how their needs can be achieved suggests that rational cognitive factors also come into play. Thus, there is some overlap between McClelland's need theory and aspect of the cognitive model of motivation. And similar connection can be made between the behavior-based theories of motivation and the cognitive model. For example, the notion of intrinsic rewards suggests that workers think rationally about their accomplishment and the setting and achieving of performance goals is an important component of both goal-setting theories and the VIE model of motivation. So, why are there so many different theories of motivation? It has been argued that these different perspectives represent the complexity and the multi-faced nature of human motivation. So, for example, some elements of motivation come from within the worker, some elements are external to the person, some involve rational, cognitive decision making, and some elements are more emotional. Motivation is central to any discussion of work behavior because it is believed that it has a direct link to good work performance. So, in other words, it is assumed that the motivated worker is the productive worker. So this may not always be true because many other factors can affect productivity independent of the effect of worker motivation. Okay, so furthermore, having highly motivated worker doesn't automatically lead to high level of productivity. The world is much more complex than that. As mentioned at the beginning chapter, many employees consider motivation to be the primary problem when they see low levels of productivity. So, however, an employer must approach a productivity problem as a social scientist would. So, before pointing the finger at worker motivation, a detailed assessment of all the other variables that could affect productivity must first be undertaken. So this variable can be divided into 4 categories, which is the system and technology variables, individual difference variables, group dynamic variables, and organizational variables. So although motivation is important, it is only one determinant of work behavior.